So good morning. My name is Hadil Khatib. I work at a mnemonic organization. Currently, it is registered in Germany, in Berlin. The goal of this mnemonic organization is to build an alternative narrative for the propaganda throughout the world, throughout collecting and archiving evidence, visual evidence that indicate human rights violation um, for use in three main things. Number one, building legal cases. Number two, to use them in the investigative reporting. And third, to use them in advocacy and accountability, in addition to any investigations by any international human rights organization like Human Rights Watch or International Amnesty. And for sure, the main goal for the mnemonic is to archive the materials in order to support the justice throughout the world, throughout building an archive to make this material available on the internet for the next generations, in order to build the digital memory, especially with everything happening here in MENA region. So our work started at the beginning in 2014 through a project called the Syrian Archive. So the context in which we were working is a context available in many places around the world, which is the violence against civilians, also propaganda and disinformation, also inaccessibility to the place, to the location where violations are taking place, also lack of internet connection, also hate speech, and also the culture of impunity. And then this all causes risks to people in those areas, especially to journalists or people who are trying to document the violations. And this will lead for sure. So here are the buildings, also the roads, the right wall, and also it identified the location of the cam, what was the position, how did it take the shots. Also through using Google Earth, it identified how the person, where the person who was documenting this execution, where he was standing. Okay, so let's continue. This was an example in Libya, and it is a very practical example. So after this example, we became sure that the International Criminal Court can use such materials as a legal evidence and tool, then it will be a very good work, because based on that we can use the same methodologies, the same tools, the same approach in order to add a value for each video or picture that can be considered a part of any legal case or file. Another example from Yemen. The Yemeni archiving team worked on a database that is related to violations by all parties against the hospitals in Yemen. So as you can see over here, after we gathered the information and checked them, we have mapped them here. And it's online. what we tried to throughout the information available on social media to know exactly the strategy of targeting hospitals in Yemen and who were the responsible parties by checking each video and each picture, and also how were they targeted. So going back to the presentation, after this type of documentation was suggested into the internet throughout this report and other reports by other organizations, there was another legal group called GLAN. They are in Britain, in the UK. They have analyzed all of those open sources, and throughout this analysis, they saw the positivities and the negativities, or the adds and cons for such type of materials. So, as legal people, they were saying that open source materials help to identify the violations, the geographic location, sometimes who's responsible, and many other things that are important for the lawyers also. They also mentioned other important stuff that it is impossible to use only or to depend solely on open source information. There should be other types of evidence like certificates, documentations, or any other type that builds the legal case. So here we have more than one example. We have Libya, the International Criminal Court, also in Yemen throughout legal people analysis. So now, within those two examples, documenting the information regarding information from the field. So the hospital was hit. That's why there is a documentation. The documentation of the hospital that was hit, or documentation of the ammunition, but also the documentations online may help a lot in the structure of the perpetrators of war crimes. And this is also available online. So we have this video. I want you to watch this video and tell me what are the important things over here that you see in this video. What he's saying is not really important. Can you see the flag in the back? Also the military outfit, the pharmacy, the mosque where he got into. What else? The officer is here, but his name isn't clear enough. Awesome. So also let's go back to this topic. It's very important. All of what you have mentioned are really important. And this example is an example. So what happened is that there were reports that there is an army in Al Yarmouk camp. After the operations were done over there, they have stolen the furniture in Al Yarmouk camp in Damascus. So, of course, this is really important. So we tried to investigate. And in order to investigate, the first thing that we did is to gather information. So now we can gather the information. So after gathering information, we during our gathering for the information, we found this video. Let's check this video. This is stealing furniture. There is something that is really important during this video. A person walked from behind. He had a logo on his hand, on his arm over here. Another person will come and walk. This guy, he's carrying something, right? What is it? And then after that, you said there is a mosque. There is an officer. and treats that he is the leader of Al-Quds battalion, and also a lot of medals. So when we started gathering information, we found that there is a special YouTube channel for Al-Quds battalion, and they have published this video. So in this case, we are seeing the Jerusalem battalion documented themselves their own violations and published the violations on a YouTube channel. So as you said, we have seen this logo, which is very close to this. So it's difficult to identify it 100% accurately, but we have seen the logo in general, and also we have seen this person who was collecting and gathering the stolen items. You said the mosque, and throughout the mosque we can identify the geographic location for the people who were present in there in that camp. So this is the mosque, Al-Wasim Mosque. Through using the Google Earth, we could identify the exact location where he was standing up. I mean the battalion leader. So we were able to identify the geographic location that yes, they were exactly in Yarmouk camp. And then looking further, we found another picture for the leader of the Jerusalem battalion receiving a courageous medal from a Russian officer in Russia. So they were awarding him, especially after the operations done in Aleppo, in Damascus, etc. So we can see that those medals are almost the same. Can we double check? They are like the same medals. And then we have conducted further research about the medals, and we saw that they are the exact same ones as the courageous medal done by the military men. With further research, we saw online and publicly available, we saw the certificates received by the leader, his full name, his signature, and the stamp, and it's like publicly available online. What does this help us to do? It helps us to get over here, to see the information through the internet. It's really important, whether legally, giving the information is very important. So it has a major legal impact. The leader over there, when he was present with all the violations taking place, so at that same time, so we have identified these points. So Facebook, YouTube, Twitter are some of the profiles that we have found this information on. But even in the LinkedIn, for example, in Sudan, the fast reaction teams, our fast support teams, who were responsible for many of the violations against the protesters. They have published on the LinkedIn. On the LinkedIn, they would say, "I work for the fast response team." So you cannot find anything better. They identify themselves as working for the fast response team. Sometimes their exact positions, what do they do exactly? So this information are really important, and they help us legally to build and understand the structure of the perpetrators. This is another thing that we have worked on in Syria, Yemen, and Sudan. Also, amongst the open source information that we have seen that in legally speaking, that they have an impact. So also regarding the legal aspect, the last example regarding using the chemical weapons in Syria, here we have worked on building a database through the videos and pictures that were online. We have gathered all of them. They were around 861 videos, and we have checked each and every one of them. They were from around 190 sources. It's really important to have varied sources. After gathering them and analyzing them, etc., we have analyzed them geographically and double-checked and verified the incidents. Some of the incidents were regarding using the siren in 2017 against civilians who were over there. When afterwards the video was got spread and posted widely, then the chemical weapons banning organization made a report after they have received samples from the targeted zone, and they analyzed the samples, and then they have and then they have published a report that there are chemical materials in that place that may be used in manufacturing or producing sarin gas. So we have seen those materials, and we know that all of those are banned items. But they were given to the Syrian government since 2012. So what we did on one of the publicly available on one of the databases, its name UN country, where the UN registers the batches in a legal way. So we have entered data 2016, 15, 14, from which country to Syria, and then we identify the chemical materials that were mentioned in the chemical weapons banning organization in the report that documented the use of sarin in Khan Yunis. So we see the database, we see that there are many countries that manufactured this isopropanol from many countries. We can see them over here. So we have analyzed them, and then the following were the results. Number one, Belgium manufactured thousands of kilograms of the isopropanol after the banning in 2012. The banning was a European from the EU, and Belgium is a European country. So we communicated directly with legal journalists, with FOIA requests, and then we reached to the names of the companies responsible for the importing and exporting. And last but not least, there was a judicial decree issued against the three companies who that incurred hundreds of thousands of euros penalties, in addition to sentences to prison for people who were responsible for producing and transporting such materials from Europe into Syria, and they announced bankruptcy, and the person who was responsible for this company, he just left it. They say that he went to Lebanon, and those were the three companies. So it all started from the documentations on the ground, the people who documented it, and also the reports online, and also the FOIA request, and the legal follow-up for this. So the legal impact is very clear within many examples. So now, talking about the impact regarding the reporting. The UN Commitrade, I will mention it to everyone. So the other impact, in addition to the legal impact, there is a big or significant impact on the reporting regarding the media, how it is shifted. So it all changed its focus from the traditional media to more adoption and dependence on the open sources. So now we are going to see an example. It is related to the attacks against the hospitals in Syria and Yemen. This is one of the videos that indicate shelling a hospital in Idlib a couple of weeks ago. This video documented this strike. When this video was posted, many people were saying that it is not an airstrike. It is just made up, and there were only some of the landmines were implanted. So many rumors were said about this video, but of course it was a direct attack against the hospital. So usually what we do, we identify the geographic location in order to make sure to check where is it exactly, and also all of the geographic aspects, and then we use the satellites. Some of them are free, some are not, in order to check the satellite pictures pre and post. So as you see, it was taken in 2017. After the incident, here you can see how it was wiped out throughout this striking and shelling. After that, the New York Times worked on a report in this regard. We will see a 7-minute report, but it's really, really, really important because it explains step by step how was the verification done in terms of some videos, how they use not only open sources but also other information. So we will watch the report. It's the 10-minute report, and then we will continue. The video is speaking in English.
This is Russian radio traffic to an Air Force pilot on a bombing mission over Syria. 35.36.20.28.28.06. But these coordinates aren't for a military target. They point to this underground hospital. Moments later, the pilot bombs it.
طبعا نلاحظ أنا مش في حاس جراحي نبض الحياة الجراحي.
Nabad al-Hayat is one of more than 50 healthcare facilities bombed in Syria since April. As President Bashar al-Assad seeks to retake the last pocket of opposition with a ferocious onslaught of air power. Observers have long suspected that Russia bombs hospitals, but no one has been able to prove it, until now. The Times has assembled a large body of evidence from multiple sources that directly implicates Russia in 4 hospital attacks in just 12 hours. One day that's a microcosm of how healthcare has been crippled in parts of Syria. We collected 4 main types of evidence. First, flight logs. For years, a network of plane spotters has tracked Air Force activity over Syria to warn civilians of incoming attacks. They record sightings of fighter jets and listen in on open radio communications between pilots and air traffic controllers. We received months of those flight logs, which tell us where and when the Russian Air Force was flying. Second, we obtained thousands of recordings of those radio transmissions as Russian pilots operate in the skies above northwest Syria. We spent weeks translating and deciphering their code words to understand how they carry out airstrikes. A pilot receives coordinates for a target. He confirms the target is locked. The pilot calculates the minute he will strike. The dispatcher gives the green light. And the pilot reports back, saying, "Srabotal, I worked it." This gives us the clearest picture yet of how and when Russia bombed targets. Third, we analysed hours of videos of these strikes, which gave us clues about the type of weapons used. We reviewed that footage with experts on the Russian Air Force. And fourth, we established the time these attacks happened by interviewing medics, obtaining incident reports, and examining social media postings. The times of the attacks matched up with sightings of Russian planes and recordings of pilots carrying out strikes. Our detailed findings show how Russia repeatedly violated one of the oldest laws of war. We'll walk through those attacks on May 5th to show how the evidence stacks up. Let's start with Nabad al-Hayat, where local journalists were warned it could be bombed and filmed the attack. First, the strike time. An incident report said it was hit around 2:40 p.m. Second, flight logs. Spotters in the area reported a Russian jet flying overhead just minutes before the attack. Third, radio recordings. The Russian pilot and air traffic controller are heard preparing the attack minutes before 2:40 p.m. Those coordinates point directly at the underground hospital. And at 2:40, the pilot confirms the strike. Fourth, analysis of the strike itself. 3 projectiles fall in quick succession, and very precisely, within around 100 feet of each other. They also appear to explode after a slight delay, once they penetrate the ground. Military experts told us these are the hallmarks of a precision strike, something the Syrian Air Force is not currently capable of, only the Russians. Luckily, the hospital was empty because days before, staff had received warnings from plane spotters of possible attacks. It had in the past treated hundreds of patients every month, but it remains out of service today. Around 3 miles away, doctors in Kafr Nabil were treating patients that afternoon, when this single hospital was hit 4 times in 18 minutes. We spoke to one of its doctors.
أول غارة 5:30 مساء 4 غارات بفارق 5 دقائق بين كل غارة والتانية.
Again, the evidence from 5:30 p.m. points to Russia. Spotters reported both Russian and Syrian jets flying overhead. Next, radio messages record a Russian pilot making 4 strikes at that very time. At 5:30 p.m. the pilot says, at 5:35 p.m, 5:40 p.m, and 5:48 p.m. 4 strikes in all, each around 5 minutes apart, at the exact time witnesses reported the attack. And last, the weapon. 3 precision strikes hit the hospital's entrance. Experts told us it's highly unlikely Syrian jets could do this. Because the hospital was dug deep underground, only 1 person was killed in the attack, though many were injured.
يعني صابنا الزار يعني.
And this led to reaching to a result. What were the casualties, the deaths that happened in Sudan on those dates? This was very beneficial for the reports issued about Sudan. New York Times 2 years ago started established a vision, which is a visual investigation. In this section, in this unit, they work on this type of investigations using open source information and also methodologies and tools that help to identify the videos and the pictures. Mike, please. Mike, excuse me. So this is a website. This is their website, the Visual Investigation Unit. The Visual Investigation Unit. And also the same applies to the BBC. So now they have a special section, a special unit, and they have the Applica Eye, and they are verifying the investigations and the pictures. This is an example that they have posted about the Cameroon, regarding how the soldiers in Cameroon killed women and children, and also they have identified the perpetrators. Everything they got was taken from the open sources. Also the impact. There's massive impact or significant impact on the media, but also regarding the advocacy. Also the International Amnesty Organization and the Human Rights Watch, they're using such open sources more and more in order to identify, in this case, for example, the chlorine gas cylinders that were used in Aleppo repeatedly. So they have checked more than one picture that shows the use of such gas cylinders against civilians, and also open source information. So by that we're saying that yes, there is legal impact, journalism impact, and also advocacy related impact. So it works on many aspects at one all at the same time. Also, we have talked about a lot of things regarding conflict zones and the violations against the civilians, but we can use the same methodologies in different topics. For example, related to the protected ancient areas. This is an example in Iraq, in Mosul, Nineveh. It is an architectural or an ancient area when some perpetrators devastated some of the ancient architect in Nineveh. So what happened is that gathering information and identifying information in order to reach to this video. This video has been published and widely spread through a YouTube channel called Fighters in Mosul, I think. So as you see, they were taking this road, and this is ISIS devastating those gates. So it is very dangerous, but they have taken these videos themselves. This took place in 2016. Just a second. So it's like here. Then they reached to the gate called Adat. We see how you can see here how it is being ruined. Then going back to the presentation. So we have identified the route of the vehicle and also the gate, and this is a photo taken before 2016, I think 2013, and then here's in 2016. You can see how it was wiped out. So it was totally devastated, and those are the satellite images. Most of them are free. So as of 2003, there is no update in Iraq, but now there are available services. But now when we go to another topic, which is not only focusing on the conflict zones, I mean, we can make use of those methodologies and technologies anywhere. It is very important that it is related, and we can use this methodology. It's related also to the corruption and finance. So I want to ask you about this picture. My question: what is the weird thing in this picture?
ما له 100% في هاي الصورة، فشو رأيكم بيه؟
There's something that doesn't add up in this picture. What is it? Mike, please, I can't hear answers or questions or comments. Mike? You know the story, that's why you know the answer. So we can see the shadow of the clock on the table, but not the shadow of the watch in his hand. So this is a clergyman from Russia, and the original picture was on this website here. The original one was published on this website. You can see the watch here. Activists in Russia said that it's very expensive, thousands of euro, and his salary is not that much. I think it was said that it's more than 30,000 euros. After this discussion, the administrator of the website deleted the watch, but they after that published the original story again and apologized from everybody for photoshopping the photo. And it's one of the ways that we can tell if a person is corrupt or not. The same thing can be applied to many issues, many topics, using different methodologies, techniques, and tools. So we're not talking only about conflict zones or archaeological sites. We can also on corruption cases. We can also talk about environmental research in this regard. This is an example from Mosul in 2016 in Qayyara. Back then, it was the fight against Daesh was still going on. In order to reduce shelling and for the Iraqi army to move on, the oil wells were burnt. This, of course, caused a huge damage to the environment. And to verify this issue, satellite images were used to see the smoke and the environmental impact on the environment. We haven't dealt with it on the analysis level, but one of the researchers in Holland worked or analyzed the whole issue. He started from here, from these pictures, and talked about the impact, the future impact on the citizens. We talked about different impacts: advocacy, legal impacts, journalism impacts. So it's not only related to conflict, it can be related to metadata research, corruption, violations, tracking. So we talked about open source information. They are important and we can benefit from them, and they are available on the social media platforms. Since we started in Syria back into 2014, we found out that such information are taken out of social media platforms, and even if they are available on laptops, after a while they are lost, or they are available on accounts that are hacked by pirates and hackers. So it's unfortunate to lose such information and content because of their good impact. We have been trying to archive all the information since 2014, and we found out that in 2017 here that the blue line shows a huge rise in deleting the information. We were working on the shelling of health facilities in Syria. After we were done with the report, we found out that we couldn't find the open source information again. We communicated or contacted YouTube, and we learned that YouTube is working on AI, artificial intelligence, and using artificial intelligence, information was deleted in the MENA region first. But YouTube admitted their mistake. But anyway, unfortunately, hundreds of content, including images and videos, were deleted. We tried to highlight this issue through different platforms, social media platforms. We contacted Google. Google had no idea of the impact of what was done or what it did. Reports were published by Report. This is a transparency report. It was mentioned that more than 8 million videos were deleted from YouTube only from October 2017 to December 2017, and 6 million or more than 6 million of which were deleted through automated flagging or AI. So social media companies use AI. Mark Zuckerberg and others who work in Twitter and Google mentioned that this is the only way to manage the content of social media, because they don't have enough resources to manage it otherwise. It's an important topic, and archiving the content is very important. That's why we highlighted it here. This is a video, and in this video we'll see statistics, monthly statistics
يتم حذفه في المحتوى اللي عم يتم جمعه وارشفته
about the deleted archives in Yemen and Sudan and other countries where we need to work because such information or content is deleted on daily basis up until now. Through cooperation with different organizations, we try to find alliance in order for these institutions to talk to each other about social media content. We have seen the huge legal impact for such an issue. Through such cooperations and alliances and reports, we are trying to highlight the impact of such an act and find solutions. If you have any piece of information about any content that was deleted and that violates the policies of social media platforms, you need to know that this is an important issue and you need to highlight it. There should be social responsibility for the public platforms. So we need to analyze those examples and report on them. We started this on a big scale in Syria, but we need to take it to other parts of the Middle East. We started in Syria because it's highly impacted by this issue. So archiving is very important because of the deletion of the content. A lot of content that is published includes propaganda as well. So we need to verify the content, dates, geographical information. Disinformation or fake information is also published. The Russian Ministry of Defense, for example, published some images, and they show that the United States monitor Daesh military movements from Iraq to Syria and everything related to Daesh, the weapons and everything. So it proves that the US watches and monitors Daesh but do not fight Daesh. Through a simple thing, if we take a screenshot and upload it to Google image, we can tell from this image or this picture that it's part of a game that was published before on YouTube. So it's a video game published on YouTube, and what happened is that the media responsible person for Twitter in the Ministry of Defense took this image, put it on Twitter, and added the description he wanted. Here we can compare the two images. As you can see, on the left it's the image that was published by the Ministry of Defense, and the one on the right that's taken from the game on YouTube. So this shows that some content include disinformation, not only in Syria but around the world. So images can be taken from different contexts and put to a another different context to mean something else. I also saw other images that say that the U.S. targets Wagner. Wagner is a foreign company. So the point here is that we need to verify the content because there's a lot of manipulation in this regard. Another example is related to Lebanon about Michel Aoun. After demonstrations and protests that took place in Lebanon, everybody expected Michel Aoun to address the people, the public, to explain to them what's happening, and people waited for 7 days for Aoun to address them. Aoun said that he will be live addressing the public, and a live video was published. We will see it together. It was on the YouTube for Michel Aoun on the 24th of October. We will see it together, and please tell me what are the things that you think are right and the things that are odd in the video. Oh, it's in Arabic. So to give you a gist of what he's saying that I'm speaking from my heart to your heart. We are one people. Unfortunately, what is happening should have not been happening. I would have hoped that all your screams are happy screams, not sad screams. We are an innovative people, and we should not, the corruption and sectarianism should not divide us. We left our fate to those who took us to the edge, to throw us off the edge. Since the first day I assumed in the office and sworn in, I promised you to protect Lebanon and fight corruption, to take Lebanon to the safe side. Financially and economically, I had big ambitions, and I still have big ambitions to kill sectarianism in Lebanon, which started since Lebanon was born. So do you feel that there's a ghost behind him that moves the books? Mike, please. I can't hear comments without a mic. I heard that some people say that the president used to take like naps, close his eyes, and did not feel himself. Thank you for this comment. As you can see, we feel that like there's a ghost between Michel Aoun moving the books. Pay attention here. Same second, books were moved and his hands moved. It happened many times. It was said before that this is a live video. The Lebanese waited for 7 days after he said that he will address them live. So it's important to look for these things while watching your TV. So, like we said, archiving is very important, and it's one of the issues we need to fix. The propaganda is also another thing that we need to verify. Another issue is that open source information is available on different social media platforms, and it's really hard to bring them all together in one place. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money. We need a big team. So we're trying to centralize all the information in one place to be able to collect them and manage them and review them. we take this information from the Syrian Archive. We have all the images, we have all the videos related to human rights violations. We started in 2014, and in 2018 we started working in the Mosaic organization. We are 23 people, and we are working on the same thing in Yemen and Sudan using the same approach and tools. The fourth issue here is the content scale. It's huge. In Yemen, for example, the majority of the people say we don't have videos, we don't have images. However, if you really look deep, you will find information. We collected about 500 videos from Yemen. They can be used in many different ways, and of course it takes a lot of time to verify and check to use them and for the purposes we talked about. Same applies to Sudan. We can talk about 1,000 videos only in few months of when the demonstrations took place. We tried to work on developing some techniques, some styles, through which we can recognize and videos easily. So here we got to identifying some elements in the video. For example, this video shows the use of cluster weapons. Software investigates videos, analyzes videos. It tells us it's cluster weapons, for example. It gives the information for the researcher or the reporter, and this is how they know this video includes a helicopter, another video includes a warplane or aircraft, another video includes a tank, and so on. If it's about fire, bombing, shelling, and so on. As you can see here, this is the video, and you can see the verification of the different elements or the objects in the video. We can train the software on anything. We've only trained it for now on cluster weapons. See here the container of missiles, ammunition. Usually there are hundreds of ammunition inside this missile. When it explodes, it's random and it targets hundreds and millions of citizens. That's why it's forbidden on the international level. This video demonstrates our working way or method to train the software to recognize some of the objects. We worked in Yemen on the same thing, to recognize some of the weapons that were used by the Arab Alliance. They are American weapons, cluster weapons as well. We'll see how the software is trained to recognize objects in videos. This is the weapon that was used in Yemen. It's a US weapon, or actually a US cluster weapon. Ammunition. The software becomes accurate when we have a 3D image, not just an image, a 2D image or a screenshot of the place. We need to have a 3D image for the object in order for the software to be accurate. We have 3 types or steps of the training. First of all, take screenshots to build a 3D image for the weapon or the object. And third, after we get the results, we try to modify them and do a third training. So we're talking about 3 steps here for training the software to recognize objects in videos, and this is an example from what we did in Yemen. Mike, please. It's for us, but it's for free. Anyone can use this open source information. It's called VFrame. We've been doing the presentation for 1 hour, and for the last 40 minutes we will talk more about the tools that we use. Most of them are practical. The tools or the practical tools we use were made in cooperation with many partners and organizations. For example, legal institutions like Trial International, GLAN, that work in Yemen, universities like Berkeley, Essex, investigation teams like the Bellingcat, media teams like ARIJ, Arab Citizen Media, and others, international media agencies, human rights institutions like the UN, and the Ban of International Chemical Weapons Organization. Through the different expertise, we developed all the tools and methodologies we use. They are all available on the Syrian Archive. How do we do the work? So whether I am one person or an organization, we do the same. First of all, we collect information to archive information. We use artificial intelligence to identify some of the objects in images or videos. Verification of information. After we verify information, we analyze this information to do investigative journalism or open source in journalism. What we will do now is that we will go in depth in each step and tell you more information what the tools we use. You may want to take notes, and we will start with the collection, preservation, processing, verification. But give me 1 minute because I need to change the laptop first, and we will do what I told you that we will do. We'll start with the first step. What was it? Information collection. We'll start with collect. We have two ways or methods. First, collecting information through a specific geographical location. Let's say, for example, Beirut. We have some tools like this one, for example, that takes us to Beirut on the map. We choose a specific location. Okay, I'll change the location to Baghdad. I'll check the internet connection. I'm not sure what's happening. I think we have an internet glitch here, but I think the idea is clear. This is one of the tools. It's called ECHOSEC, ECH. We take it to a specific geographical location, and it gives me all the information we have on the social media platforms. How does it work? Let's say someone is filming using the cell phone, and the GPS is on, or use the camera and the GPS is on, or specify their geographical location on social media. We can take this information, and this is a very useful tool through which we can get very important information, videos and images. For example, in many locations we were able to track many people just because they published their photos in given times. Here you can choose the date you want, and it works on Twitter, Flickr, VK, YouTube, and other social media platforms. But this is what we have here in front of us. This is not free. I think you need to pay like around $25 or something. I'm not sure. On the Twitter platform here, for example, we can know through collecting information who tweets 1 kilometer away from the hotel. We can see them immediately through this platform. First of all, we need to specify the location of this hotel, the Kempinski Hotel. The first thing we do is that we take the coordinates of the hotel through Google Maps. After that, we copy and paste on Twitter like this. Here I get information about Marwan Abu Awad, who tweeted yesterday or the day before. See, this is information we can get through using Twitter without using the tool itself. Mike? I can write this piece of information for you after the workshop. This is one of the ways to get information. Another one is the Snapchat map. Snapchat has a map. I don't know if anybody here tried to use the Snapchat map, but whoever is now publishing on Snapchat, we can know about them through the map. Those who are publishing publicly we can see them, but privately we can't. As you can see, we can choose a location here. As you can see in this area, we use a lot. We use Snapchat a lot. Maybe the highest rate in the world here, Saudi Arabia, Baghdad. If I'm looking for something on this street, I can see it by clicking on it. I can see what's happening right now there. I'll provide you all with all the links you need after we're done with this workshop. Here, for example, if you would like to see live demonstrations in Baghdad, you can do that through the way I just showed to you. Mike? I didn't hear the question, but the answer was anything you wanna look for is available and you can see it. On Facebook, so we talked about the first type of collecting information, which is through geographical location. Instagram is the same thing. There is a way to look for information or collect information through Instagram through this tool.
The same thing on the Instagram. There's a tool. Who posted what? Everything. I have everything documented, so I can provide you with all of those tools. But this tool allows you to use the geographic location to identify the geographic location for anything posted through Instagram. So this is identifying the geographic location and also using a keyword and a date. So this is the same tool. Who posted what? On the Facebook, we can identify this is a keyword, and this is like a day, a date, or a time range from till dates. This is not available on the Facebook platform itself, so no one can search this way. One needs to use such tools for such research. The same thing for the Twitter. There are tools for this, also for the YouTube and other social media platforms. So the first phase is to gather information through identifying the geographic location, or also using the tools for information gathering through using keywords and dates. Also, there's the Syrian Archive. We have developed a tool that gathers a whole archive from channels or the accounts on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. So they are available online, but also we have depended on those tools. Essentially, the second phase, what is it? After gathering the materials, analysis, preserve. The second phase is archiving, because many of the materials get deleted. So one of the important tools in archiving the Twitter, Facebook accounts, and other platforms, it is archive.com.org. So here you entered any website, like the BBC, for example. This is archive.org. So I'll be providing you with all tools by the end of the session. So this is the archive.org. So here, if I want to archive a certain website, over here. Here is where we archive the page. This is another page. I think there is something wrong with the internet. I'm not sure. There is some kind of a problem with the internet, with the website, I don't know. But when the materials are archived, they will be viewed this way. Oh my god, what's going on? So usually it functions pretty well. I don't know what's going on right now. Anyways, it shows like this, or if it's Twitter, Facebook, it would show how many times it was archived and on which dates. Of course, no information regarding the archiver or the person who archived it. So this is for the Facebook, Twitter, and others. But also regarding video archiving from most of the social media platforms or news platforms. So this is a YouTube DL. It is not only specialized for YouTube, but also on all websites. Here you can find all the websites that the video is archived through them. For example, Facebook, Twitter. Also YouTube. So here we can archive any video throughout using this tool. Great. So now moving to the third phase. There are many tools, but I am just showing you 2 tools at a time. The third phase is verifying the video after being archived. So for example, now we will see a video, we will watch a video, and you can tell me how we can verify this video. So this is the video. We will watch it together. It was gathered and archived, collected and archived. So it is a strike in Sana'a targeting Al-Raqqas neighborhood. So how can we verify this video? Okay, again I'll show this video, the same one. What are the things that I can use in this video to verify? Tell me. Here's the royal court, the royal hall, so I can identify through the geographic locations. Also regarding the vehicles, if they have any data we can check them. So here, this video is a CCTV camera. The date is 16th of May 2019. Also we can research or make a research online regarding any strikes on Sana'a on this date. So this is important. What else? Yes, true. Taking a screenshot of the video and searching the picture or the photo to see was it published before, was it reused, or is this the first time? What else? The street. What was the street? The direction. Excellent. In order to identify the geographic location. Yes. The turn. So yeah, there's a turn, there's a street. Okay, the pictures from the satellite, pre and post, in order to see whether it was impacted with a strike or not. Also the shape of the building to the left over here. Excellent. This is a very special form. It's pretty long, so this section, all of it is similar to each other. What else? The buildings to the right. Here you can see how they look. This is one building, two buildings. Look at the windows over here. There are 3 windows over here. What else? Yes, for sure. So this might be a mosque. because there are certain words, religious words, so it might be a mosque. What else? Still we have two things. The orange color. Yeah, the color of the other buildings. So yeah, we can find sometimes with this satellite images. Sometimes we find these colors. Well, not 100%, not 100%, but it might be found. Also, a word or something written on the building. Not really clear, but there are two things that we may benefit from in this video. There is a strike, a shelling. So when it happened, there were two contexts. The first context is that a warehouse was bombed in a Rakas street, and then the other context said that there was an airstrike that targeted Hay al-Rakas or Rakas neighborhood. So there were, or it is the explosion of a warehouse with maybe with ammunition inside. So it's either this explosion or an airstrike. But if we look at the first part of the video over here, I think, what can we see? Do you think? Have you seen anything? It's like I have been looking at it on my own. Any difference? Can you see any differences? So this is HDS, and this one so it's like, where is the smoke? When there's a strike, there should be smoke. After an airstrike, there should be smoke around. It might be one of the scenarios, but within this scenario, it was really a strike, and it was a shelling from the sky down, and also there was smoke. Again, if you watch it again, so here we see a shelling and hit this location. So this identifies the scenario. It is either shelling or bomb exploding a warehouse. So this is one of the things that we can see, or that we can verify. Yes, 100%. Also, the shelling was pretty clear, and it was shown in many videos, and this is only one of them. So it was available, but also we can benefit from other things that we'll show right now. So this shadow over here allows us to identify the location of the strike, because here in the CCTV we find 8.17 minutes. So from identifying the shadow, it shows you whether it is like 17 minutes away or not. And also we can identify the here here is a mountain of buildings. Behind the buildings, can you see it? Here it allows us to identify the geographic location. So now we can see how. This is the first location, this is the first method to identify the basic location using Google Earth. And here we shall type in Asmul Maliki or the Royal Highness Hall, Celebrations Hall. Okay. The satellite images show us the Royal Highness Halls, celebrations halls. So you can identify things. Can you identify things similar from the picture that I showed you in the video? Yeah, 100%. So this is a tree, and this is the tree over here. The hangars. This is the hangar over here. It is the same over here. We can take the same way of the video. So let's minimize a little bit. Okay. So here's the hangar, which are similar. As you see, this is the similar architecture. Also, this is the hall, the celebrations hall, and this is the building over here. Can we zoom in a little bit? Okay. Here are 3 openings. Same over here. This is how it looks. This is the building. It's the same building. There's a better image for this building. If we zoomed in this location and then zoomed out, then we can see this mountain over here, which shows on the video, right? So it's the same place. Here we have assigned identified the geographic locations of the location that was videoed. So in order to know the dates of Google Earth, on Google Earth, so Google Earth gives you images on different dates. So the last is 19th of August 2019, the one before it on the 12th, and then 21st of July, 10th of July. So I can see pictures and images from different dates on Google Earth, and then in Sana it is being updated periodically. This helps a lot in verification. So this took place in May So we can go to the same location at that date, and then we identify the using another video, identify the school, and here is the strike, so we can see before and after. So the picture isn't so clear, but if we go back to before 17th of May, we see this structure. You see that it was demolished. So also regarding the shadow, and if we go again to the location, so some tools like the shadow calculator, that's the name of the tool. So the CCTV was on the building opposite to the street, so we can identify the shadow, the time 8.17, the date May 17th. Then we can know that the shadow is reflected like that as it shows on the video. This helps me more to check the time of the strike using this tool. So some of those tools for each video to verify it, but there are many varied tools. I can provide you with a document with all the tools after the session. By that, I'll be concluding this session. If you have any questions, we have 10 minutes for questions and answers. Do you have any questions regarding this topic? Please, Mike. Thank you. So the Facebook live map, was it totally disregarded? So it used to do the same thing, and also for the Snapchat. Yes, but the Facebook changed the search criteria on its platform after journalists who addressed this issue, so they have locked some of the possibilities to find a map or to look or search using varied methodologies. That's why they're now no longer available. So Facebook, through the location, it's really difficult for us to get anywhere, but we can use the Instagram or Twitter or YouTube or even Snapchat instead of Facebook. So the Facebook is only allows the features of a keyword and a date. So the Twitter, you took the coordinates from the Twitter. Yeah, but you have the extension of the Twitter that takes you. It is better for the journalists. I think that it would result in many lists. So if I am in a certain place and I want to make more than one alert, so following up a certain event, so we can take each governorate by its own and then put an alert on it and then expect the timings in each country. I believe that it is much better than Twitter because it gives you the possibilities and the alerts are there. Yeah, this is another good way, which is search using the alert. Search using the geographic location is more manual, but I think by combining two methodologies, the results would be better. You said that you have used a software or a tool to calculate the time, yeah, for the shadow purposes. So how can we check the image after calculating the image? You didn't continue after that, or don't you? You have no time. Yeah, exactly. We have no time. But the idea is that. So if we take the coordinates like this from the map, and then go to the tool. It's called shadow calculating. Shadow calculator. So if we put the coordinates over here, then we move to the geographic location, and then we draw the line on the building with the shadow on the street, on the road, and then it will calculate the time and the date. So it's really important for you to know the location, and then you can. When was the exact time? I can't really do it right now, but it's gonna take some time, so we don't have time. Sorry. Some of the videos posted on non-open sources or closed sources for ISIS, can I verify them and take a picture of the video and post them through Google? I don't have any data regarding those at all. I cannot verify where was it posted, or was it published by any other agency or institute. Yeah, 100% I agree. It is really difficult to get there because it's a non-open source, and it wasn't published before, so it's really difficult. What's important in these videos is that if you can identify the geographic location, if there was like a distance, well-known features, etc. Another point is to identify the time, the place, using the shadows, just like what we saw in the Libya video, if you were here before. So those are the methods used, otherwise it would be really difficult. Thank you. Any question? The Libya video in Benghazi, it's really difficult to imagine that somebody used Google Earth and searched for street by street to get this result. I think there's a quicker way to get to the same result. Yes, of course. If you have a source with a location that gives you a lead, any hint that, for example, it was in Benghazi, then it will be a lifesaver, a time saver. But if it's not available, then the person who worked on it, the person who did that, who verified it, he checked each street in Benghazi. So are they going to use like the vision to narrow down the areas? So Microsoft is doing that, is working on that, and Google, but yet we haven't reached to a complete solution to give it an image or a picture and find it anywhere. Okay, so now the time is over. I'd like to thank you for your attendance and interest. If you want the tools, I'm over here. Thank you.
شكرا لك.